Hello and welcome everyone. This is the 85th episode of Everyday Eternal. With me tonight, as usual, is the Lord, the Pope.
Wait, I'm not the Lord. Come on. I'm the dove of peace and
You're
hope.
not the Lord. No. We were just talking about a very famous French Lord. Welsh Lord, actually. And that is our new Patreon, Francis, the FGC from the UK. Francis has been around for like forever, right? I've known him as one of the guys from the London crew.
He's known like as the Tundra guy. He just always plays Tundras. And he's even currently playing Doomsday, but a version with Tundras. And
the Lord Francis.
Francis.
So thank you so much for your support, Francis. If you want to support us, you can also do that on patreon.com/everydayeternal and see if there's still a spot left to support us. No, seriously, thank you so much for your support.
If there isn't a spot, we can just kick Francis off. It's fine.
We're just gonna have the highest bidder. We can only ever have 50 Patreons, and then we start auctioning off additional sets. No, seriously, that's cool. You know what I was actually thinking? Do you know what Among Us is?
Well, I've been meaning to try and play it. I haven't played it at all, and I've not really watched it either, so I'm down to play it sometime. It sounds really fun. I was kind
of wondering whether we could put together a group in the Discord. So if you guys are listening, let us know in the Discord. You can actually make a dedicated channel for it. I've been watching it so much. Okay. So much. And for those who don't know, it's basically a game. There's 10 people. It's basically Werewolf, if you've ever heard about that, or Mafia, people call it. And there's 2 imposters, so you're basically 8 legit guys and 2 people who are trying to murder everyone while you're completing your tasks to hopefully win. And yeah, so you can cast suspicion on people, you can vote them out, and in the end, one of the 2 teams is going to win. And just watching it in the group dynamics over time, if you keep playing with the same kind of people, same group, it's really something else. And it's kind of funny to me because the game was actually released 2 years ago, but somehow a couple of big streamers only picked it up this summer, and now it's blowing up to be one of the biggest things in history of Twitch, I think. It's
a cool story. I've been following the Twitch account of the programmer or the guy that runs it, and he's just saying, everyone, I know that the rooms are full, it's tough, you can't get into games, but it's one guy. Until maybe now he might have got some friends along to help him, but it's been one person running it until very recently, which is pretty crazy considering the amount of work that's put into it. So
that's actually amazing. I read that they are actually not working on additional content for this version, but they're actually working on a second version to come out. They probably should do that as long as the hype is still there, because usually hype somewhat dies down. But this game, it's really capturing me.
Yeah, I've purposely not looked into it too much because I love the surprise of new games and new things. So you've just spoiled it for me. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm definitely down to play with the Discord if everyone wants to, or anyone, or you, or anyone hit me up. I'll try it out. And probably be terrible, but...
Well, the thing is, you can only ever be so terrible at the game because it's based on I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the dynamics will go your way sometimes as well.
Yeah, and people can help you out. If you really suck, you just run around and complete your tasks, and hopefully nobody's gonna cast suspicion on you. The worst thing is if everybody is sure that you're the very worst thing is actually when there's 3 people left. One of them is the imposter, and then you get 2 people accusing each other. So the third one has to cast the deciding vote. And if they get it wrong, they will feel so bad about it.
I like it. Okay.
That's the allure of it.
I'm super down with this.
What have you been up to, man? What have you been doing?
Since our last episode a few days ago, we have had a weekend, haven't we? What did I do on the weekend?
I got a couple of messages where I was like, oh, I'm busy, I'm getting drunk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I had some friends leaving London, had a lunch, and then a housewarming, and just actually fun, but commitments I prefer to be doing something else, honestly. Played some Warhammer, though, which is fun. Beer hammer, as we like to call it. So just drinking beer and playing super casually. What about you? Anything exciting? I guess you played in some of the events we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about I'm going to call it a Legacy Super PTQ. I guess it's the same. It's some kind of... It qualifies you for a premier event where you have to play Arena, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I also played the challenge. Elves in both of those. We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Nice.
And and also just once again, lots of cycling. Tour de France is super inspiring to me. I don't know, I love cycling, and right now I even just did a night ride. We're recording this at 11:30 my time, and I just went out earlier for close to an hour, just ride through my town and check out a lot of places I used to live. And it's kind of funny. I've been I've lived in, I don't know, 12 different places throughout my life, maybe 15.
Wow, that's so many.
So I was like, oh, I forgot, I used to live over there, and hey, this house, I remember this.
Is it really dark over there? Because I love cycling when it's like later, but not when it's too dark. I guess you have a light.
Yeah, there's the, I don't know if it made to the UK, but there's the thing where if you use electricity and you can actually use that to illuminate streets.
Really?
I think you guys have that as well. I've seen it before.
It sounds dangerous to me. I don't know.
Yeah, open fire. That's how they should do it.
Yeah. That's the English way, just like burning people side of the road.
Did you know how they used to do it in England before alarm clocks were invented and you needed to get up in the morning at a certain time?
It was a chicken or a rooster, right?
Yeah, that's how you did it, I guess, if you lived on a farm or something. But if you lived in London...
Nope.
They actually had people who would wake you up in the morning at a certain time. They would actually come to your house and they had like a really long stick. Like a really long wooden stick, and they would actually knock on your window and wake you up that way. And you would probably pay them, I would guess.
Is this true, or is this like a Julian truth?
This is serious. I read it on Reddit, so it must be true.
I believe you then. Cool.
I just wonder who wakes the wakers. Maybe they got a cycle where they continuously
they've got to get up really early, right? They'll get up at 5 a.m. and then they'll have like a run. They go down a certain street in a certain thing, like a postman, I guess.
That's a lot of responsibility, man.
It is. And then I guess anyone that doesn't get woken up blames them. So I can't imagine it pays as much either.
In speaking of blaming, as it seems right now, a lot of people are actually blaming #ban Rite of Flame because I think for over 10 years, like something like 12 years, ever since Cold Snap came out, there was like this gentleman's agreement on Legacy that we wouldn't abuse Rite of Flame. We'd only ever touch it like here and there and have a little bit of fun with it. But Bryant, I don't know what happened, but Bryant went overboard. He broke all the conventions, all the rules, all the agreements. And he just fully stocked his TS list, went into the Super PTQ and the Legacy Challenge on Sunday and won them both.
Yeah,
like this
insane.
Guy, wow.
Like, such an insanely dominant performance. And I mean, everyone will be pissed off that he gets Rite of Flame banned now. He's been like flirting with it for a while. He's always done super well. So he's always been on the edge of getting it banned. But now he's just like, if this is right, I don't want to be wrong of Flame. So, yeah, massive, like jokes aside, massive congratulations to him. Like, he's always done super well in these things, but just crushing a huge event into the larger Sunday challenge as well. This is so impressive. It's
also interesting in the sense that the deck now fully committed to the Wishclaw, Talisman, and Burning Wish plan, and they also have Tendrils of Agony back in the main deck. I think in the past he used to run main deck Empty the Warrens for quite a while, so you could get smaller empties off, which was good enough against Delver. But I guess that's just not cutting it anymore, or maybe he had to switch up a couple of sideboard spaces and stuff. And also for protection, he's now fully committed to just 4 Veil of Summer, 2 defense crits, no discard anymore, and I really, really like that.
Yeah, it changes a lot. Like, he has such a good crew around him as well, and he's constantly evolving and changing it. I know that actually quite recently they were on 2 Thoughtseize in the main deck. I know historically before Wishclaw they didn't have Tendrils or Empty in the main deck, so they always relied on Burning Wish. So that's when they played Infernal Tutor. And then this was before Veil of Summer as well. And then Mox Opal edition like changed things. They have main deck defense grids. There's just so many things that change stuff around. One of the most recent things, which Bryant calls this Delver Killer, Tez. He has 4 Carpet Flowers in the sideboard and like a main deck Tiger to help this.
Oh, you're right. Yep. You're right. 4 Carpet of Flowers. Suck it.
Carpet of Flowers is a card which has like seen such a resurgence, and it's like as blue gets better, I guess, and mana becomes a premium. So as cards get better, mana becomes better in a roundabout way. He calls it Delver Killer.
You know what he should play? He should actually have a Living Wish and a Grizzlebrand in the sideboard. So you can go Burning Wish, Living Wish, Grizzlebrand, and just cast that boy with Carpet of Flowers.
Yeah. There is a like Storm Entity as well on the sideboard you can Live and Wish for.
But now that's the one that has something. Is it has it Storm?
It gets like a 1/1 counter for each spell you've cast or something.
Oh,
silly.
that's the one.
I can't remember actually. It doesn't have. I can't remember. I'm going to make a fool of myself on air once again. But I think it like doesn't have haste or something. Or
it might have.
Anyway, we're going off the deep end. Otherwise, like each iteration does look fairly stocked for what we know as Tez now. But like the Mox Opal editions and the Veil of Summer editions and Echo have been the biggest takeaways in the last couple of years. Wishclaw as well. Like Wishclaw really does change how you can play the deck. So the main deck Tendrils does make more sense when you're just like playing a Wishclaw out turn 2, and then that is you're dumping the mana into it pre-combo turn, and you're just threatening people. Like it's super strong in the deck. The downsides are, it like gets shut down by Khan, which is a bit of a pain, but Khan was already so strong against the deck, you're not beating it that often. So, anyone that wants to play this deck, it's super powerful. It's been a better Storm deck than ANT has been for a while now. I think everyone agrees, because you either go under the slower blue decks, or you can also beat Veil of Summer with the Grape Shot in the sideboard. So it just has the tools
so cool,
to beat.
Actually.
Yeah, it's completely realistic as well. It's how they win, how they beat Veil quite a lot. Like, a lot of the time, people will like cast Veil and feel quite safe against Storm, but Grape Shot does not give a shit.
It's also kind of interesting. There's nobody really carrying the torch for ANT anymore, right? There used to be people, I think in the end it was Cyrus, but Cyrus now retired to become like the cynic critic of the Legacy format, and I love that, by the way. Cyrus should have his own podcast. I think he had at some point.
He would be great.
He needs to come back. He's not holding back. Every time I hear Cyrus on a podcast, maybe we need to have him on in the future if he's still available. Maybe he's actually taking commissions now. I don't know.
For what it's worth, there are some people still carrying the torch how they can. D'Amato XP, who's Daniel D'Amato is his full name. He's been streaming recently a bit more. He did like a week's full streaming of Ant, because people in the Discord said exactly what you just said. They said people aren't really carrying the torch, and he stepped up to the challenge. So he's been doing more content, and Michael Clifford has been doing a bunch as well.
Oh, does he? I thought he was a test guy, but
no, he's always been like an Ant guy.
Oh, I'm so sorry, man. Is there like, how much of a rivalry is there actually between?
There's not. I think the only people that think there is are the non-Storm players, and everyone else is just like, for a while, because Ant was better for a long time, there was this kind of superiority complex slightly from the Ant players, and Tez was this like cousin which no one likes as much, I guess, and there was this like kind of feel bads there a little bit because people kept bringing it up, but from what I can tell, there isn't actually a real animosity between any of them, and they both just love both decks and have respect for it. So yeah,
awesome. So do you like have a theory on top of like Bryant being probably the best? I mean, let's cut probably the best TES player in history of creator of the deck. Mm-hmm. On top of that, I have a feeling, like I've got a feeling why the deck is so good. But do you want to go first? What makes you think that the deck is good right now?
Well, it's partly what I described already. I think it's good versus Veil of Summer, which is a big deal. Veil of Summer's seeing a bunch of play, but it's not like at the height of the format right now. But just not being really cold to it is a huge deal. The deck is very good against Snow, I believe. I can't speak firsthand because I haven't played it myself for quite a while. But the way to beat Snow decks is not let them start casting all their cantripy things. When you're threatening to kill them on turn 1 and 2 pretty consistently, or especially turn 3 with a Veil as well, especially getting around their Veils as well, then they're like Astrolabes, Icefang Quattles, and Uros that all need to cantrip to give them the velocity which makes the deck good in the first place. It just doesn't really matter. They have access to like 6 or 7 forces often, but the Veil beats that, and the speed just beats it as well. Like, you are throwing out these threats like Wish Claws and Burning Wish are still must counters. So I think that's a big deal. And then I know that Bryant was like struggling with Delver for a while, and he's never content with that. So now he's put these 4 Carpets and Tiger in the deck to beat Delver. I will say for these 2 events, someone mentioned to me today, so I can't completely confirm it myself, but someone mentioned that they watched through all of his replays over the last couple of days, and he didn't play against Delver a single time in both events, which is pretty amazing actually. But
well, there goes my theory then.
But this is not to take anything away from it, because he says it's good against Delver. So I don't think that's like I don't mean that as a knock, but it's an interesting point to keep in mind. What's your theory?
So my theory basically is that we don't really have an aggressive tempo-oriented Delver deck in the format right now. I guess that's less of a theory, but more of a thing that's happening right now. Because even our most aggressive Delver decks that we have, which I guess are Ruck Delver right now, they are heavily relying on mid-range cards of like 3-mana cards. Dreadhorde Arcanist is amazing, but it also takes like at least a turn or 2 to produce results, which is why it is so annoying against ANT, right? ANT would be the deck that grinds you slowly down and then eventually Cable Ritual for Past in Flames and do something broken on turn 7, whereas this deck is like, okay, you're gonna tap out on turn 2 for a 1-3 that doesn't hurt me, I'm gonna get you. Because this deck usually gets you on the second turn, right? I rarely see it. Like, it can definitely put up a fight and try maybe a couple of resources and then eventually refuel on Echo of Eons, for example. But the way I see this deck work is it usually does something broken on the second turn, if not on the first turn, if the coast is clear. And right now, I don't really feel like Delver decks are very well prepared to fight that. They got their 6 forces in the main deck, but really not much else. Like Daze is only so much of a problem really for these kind of decks. So with 4 Veil of Summer, 2 defense grids, and even a bit of redundancy where you get to know whether your Wishclaw Talisman resolves or not before you have to commit, I think there's nobody really out there to fully put on pressure and have like Spell Pierces and Fluster Storms, or maybe even discard, kind of like Grixis Delver used to have in the past. So I wonder what the next evolution is going to be, because the way the cards have fallen right now, at least that's what we say in German, the Rug Delver is kind of in its best configuration, and guys like Daniel Götzschel, Gul Dukat are really tearing it up with it. But I wonder if the next step is to maybe increase the sideboard hate against TS. Like, I played 2 Mindbreak Traps in the sideboard right now, which I think, coming out of a non-blue deck, Mindbreak Trap is the best thing you're going to do against this kind of deck. And I think Bryant actually has a thing on his channel where you can go !MBT, and the bot then is like, hey, I actually don't know what Mindbreak Trap does.
It's not Bryant, but it's a couple of people have it. I know Justin Ganari has it as well. A few people, you just do !MBT. Yeah, and it says, like, I don't know what that card is and I'm not playing around it. But I think you're completely right, actually. It's a really good point. And that ties into what we were saying, and I think a lot of people, why they say Arcanist and Oko are so good in Delver. The whole theory why they're good is because you have all these pitch counters. You have 2 to 3 Force of Negation, 4 Force of Will, and 4 Days. So everything's free. But this is all very, like, I guess generic's not quite the right word, but it's like pretty straightforward, and you know what you're getting yourself into. As you said, this deck can play around Days very well because there's a lot more fast mana. It's not relying on rituals quite as much as the other Storm decks. And when you're just playing against Force of Wills and Force of Negations, you have the Veils and Defense Grids, as you mentioned, and you're not scared of the Stifles, and you're not scared of the Spell Pierces countering your Duck Ritual or like messing you up on a mana or something like that. So you do have less to play around. So I think it would have a harder time if the Delver decks were becoming this more reactive Stifle Piercy version and Flusterstorm, as you said.
It's also super important that the graveyard almost doesn't matter, right? I mean, the best card in the deck, Rite of Flame, it relies on it. But other than Rite of Flame, against A&T, if you brought in Ley Lines, that was like super legit because it cut off both their Cable Ritual plan as well as their Past in Flames plan. But against this kind of deck, I mean, I've seen people bring it in, I've done it myself, but really only when you got like 4 cards that you definitely don't want the kind of matchup, and then you can bring this into maybe. Okay, by the way, gonna take that back, there's 1 Echo of Eons.
Yeah, there's 1 main, 1 sideboard. So Echo is a plan, but it's like it's not your plan A. It's kind of like the natural tutor lines from Ant. Like, it happens, you do it, but there you're wanting to Pass in Flames, and Tez is just wanting to ad nauseum. It's trying to ad nauseum every single time.
And that's also the beauty of the way this deck is constructed. You have Veil of Summer and Defense Grid, and both those cards provide protection even after Echo of Eons when your opponent gets to restock on 7 cards.
This is another reason why these cards are better than Thoughtseize. Not even just because Thoughtseize is bad versus opposing Veil of Summers, but exactly as you say, it protects you. It lets the Echo hopefully kill your opponent without drawing them into Force of Wills and stuff. That's good deck building, as they say.
Definitely. So congrats to Bryant. I'm sure he's going to talk about it on his podcast on, what's it called? The Eternal
Glory.
Eternal Glory, that's the one. So definitely check that out. I bet that's going to come out, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Same.
Should we take a look at what else has been doing well? Oh, especially in the Super PTQ. Wow.
The second place list is very cool as well. Oh, no, I'm looking at the challenge. My bad, sorry.
I'm so sorry to the person who played second in the challenge. I think that's Achilles, right? Playing.
It is indeed, yeah.
So we can talk about that in a moment.
Yep.
But in the Legacy Super PTQ, we actually have Jeff Flynn, the overlord of, I want to say, Esperville, in second place. We actually discussed the line that he took against Bryant in the finals quite a lot in a chat with him. That was quite interesting because there's so many ways you can interact with that kind of deck if you're playing a deck as diverse as Esperville, which allows a lot of ways to interact with your opponent, but you need the time, right? You need to get your hate bears out, you need to meddling mage the right thing. Yeah,
his line was something convoluted, like he was trying to decide whether to Force a Will or to Force of Negation something, and it turned out that he Force of Negation, which I think Bryant obviously found a way through it, but someone else pointed out if he had Force a Willed, the 1 life would have mattered, and Brian actually had like a natural tendrils or something to kill him. So from what I can tell, it was like he played what he could, and Tez just Tezzed. Rider Flamed. But otherwise, you've been playing the deck a lot more than me. So does anything stand out?
Not really. This is pretty much what we used to play for quite a while. Like the sideboard is a little. Sideboard is almost. Sideboard is actually exactly the same what we played before. But there's a new card coming out in Zendikar Rising, right? That we talked about, which will probably find its way into the deck as more than just a one-off.
I believe so.
So we're gonna explore that later in the show tonight. So this is pretty straightforward. Esper Wild, really good deck. Joy to play. If you enjoy creatures, but also having a way to fight against fast combo, wow, this is everything you want, except that it doesn't play elves. So
the deck has completely proved itself by now to be like a major player.
And then we got 3 copies of Hogaak in the rest of the top 8. So we got 3rd place Hogaak, 4th place Hogaak, 6th place Hogaak. And today I streamed. And I also played against Hogaak like 3 times or something. It's deck is insane. It's really good.
It's seeing a resurgence, but it is good enough as well. We kind of called it on the last episode. We said Hogaak is this deck, which I don't know. It's in this middle ground where it's better than people think it is, and it's slightly underplayed because it's not a pretty deck. It doesn't do it can do some pretty crazy powerful things, but it's often pretty scrappy, not super flashy. Especially sideboard games, you're like getting advantage out of these random 2/1s while you're trying to fight hate and stuff. And the deck can be super punishing because it's really, really, I cannot stress enough, it's so important sequencing things right. Like, very often you'll want to be sandbagging lands in your hand for Bloodghast stuff, and these little decisions really, really make all the difference, especially when you're playing against hate. So it's not easy to play. You do get free wins off it as well, which is a really nice thing to have in a Legacy deck. And it's good against the blue decks. It's pretty favored against Delver generally. It's good against Snow, and people are like going to worse sideboard hate. We talked about it on the last episode a few days ago, how Relic is decent versus it, but not what you want. So if Layout in the Voids and Rest in Pieces are low, this deck is strong.
I was just wondering whether it's also like a good budget choice if you want to get into Legacy, but on MTG Goldfish they have it at 3,500 on average.
The mana bases are expensive. So Bug has 3 to 4 Underground Seas and 3 Bayous, and Jund has 3 Badlands, 3 Bayous, and you do need those jewels. You can play Shocks, so if you are looking to play the deck and you have maybe from Modern in the past, the deck is aggressive. Playing Shocks will hurt versus Delver and stuff, as they always do. But this is one of the decks that can mitigate the most. But if you do that, do not play less than 3 of any of the Shocks or Jewels, because you mill yourself with a lot of your cards, Stitcher Supplier, Hedron Crab and stuff, so you must have enough cards to fetch.
If you check at the online prices though, it's actually a good entry deck into Legacy. It's only around 320 tickets, so that's even cheaper than Elves, which at least online is also like a good entry deck compared to, for example, to give you a perspective, like Snowco is around 800 tickets. What else is there? That's actually a deck. Esper Wild is 700, Sneak and Show is 500. So if you want to get into Legacy on Magic Online, maybe you start out renting, for example, on Card Order, or you even like buy straight into the deck. And yeah, Hogaak seems like it's the kind of deck that power to cost ratio should give you one of the best right now.
Yeah.
And it's also, you say it's not pretty. I think it's pretty in the sense that it's a real blast to play, because especially in the first game, your opponent doesn't really have too much that they can really do if they're playing one of those 5-color Snowco. Look at my land, I have Astrolabe.
Well, what is incredibly frustrating is Uro kills Bridge from Below. This is one of my most, it really drives me crazy, because Bridge from Below is how I've historically always played the deck against control. Like, you don't really care about the Vengemize or even the Hogaak and stuff, but you just never attack into them until like turn 8 when you've amassed loads of zombies, and you make them Wrath you, Terminus you, Supreme Verdict, you don't care. You just never attack into them, so your creatures never die, and you just keep building up zombies. And that was my favorite way to play the game, because it was just this creeping sensation on your opponent that they couldn't do anything, because this Bridge from Below was just slowly just grinding them. It was like a Field of the Dead, actually. But now Uro kills it, which sucks. A little note about the Hogaak lists. 2 of them were Bug, which has been a slightly more popular version because Hedron Crab is very powerful. But the 3rd place list is Jund, which has... it has Faithless Looting over Careful Study. Faithless Looting is obviously a very big upgrade against Careful Study, and you play Putrid Imp in the place of the Hedron Crabs. The deck it feels slightly more grindy. The Crab is slightly more all in and slightly more powerful, so Otherwise, they're quite similar. There was one of them had 4 underground seas. That's what stood out to me. Actually, it's not as exciting as I remembered.
Make it even more expensive, because I can.
You usually pay 3 of each duel, and that stuck out. Okay.
Are you ever going to fetch the 4th underground sea? I think that might actually be worse, right? You want to maximize fetch lands. But yeah, I mean, who am I to say?
It's just so you don't mill too many of them. It's come up more than you'd expect, actually. You mill like 2 of them, and then you get wastelanded, and it feels terrible.
I won against some Hogaak deck in some event that I just can't recall right now because of that exact scenario. Where I thought I was dead, and then they cracked the fetch land, and then they conceded, and I was like so confused. And as somebody pointed out later on, they actually couldn't fetch the land that they needed to kill me.
Yeah, I lost I've top 8'd a challenge with Hogaak once or twice, and one of them I remember in the semis, I was playing against like some control deck, and I had the game completely wrapped up. I knew their hand from a therapy. I fetch, and I have 2 crabs in play. And I fetch first. And what you should do is you should fetch 1. The land comes in, triggers on the stack, then fetch with another thing, and then so you don't mill your lands. But I didn't do that because I was so confident and cocky. And I had 3 bayous left in the deck to decay something for the win. And then on the 6 cards I milled all 3 bayous. This is an example of you have to play like tight. So I should have fetched both first.
So good thing to keep in mind if you want to pick up the deck yourself. Maybe I'm actually going to stream with it. I actually wanted to make my next streams maybe TES even.
Yeah,
I want to taste the Epic Storm. The Epic Storm was actually the first deck I ever played on Magic Online 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
That's when we still played like Gemstone Mine and City of Brass and stuff like that, and Orm's Chance. And Orm's Chance was like a 100 tick cards and stuff. Was
it Priest of Gix, or was that further back?
I don't remember Priest of Chicks and that kind of deck. I think, if ever, that was more a thing in the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay. I know that Tez did play it originally, but...
Did it really? Oh man, that goes further back than I can remember. You know, I want to find out about that.
There is an amazing history section on theepicstorm.com. You should go and check it out. Yeah, Bryant documents every update, I believe, and it goes all the way back. It's fascinating.
Oh, I'm gonna check out. We should actually have like history battles. Like we pick up decks from the beginning of the format and run something like, I don't know, full English breakfast against original tests and stuff.
That'd be cool. I've had this huge desire to play and probably lose with Old Shardless against Old Miracles with Top and Deathray Shaman. So I've messaged Marcus, who is to like play that a bit with me. I just want to lose to Predict again, but I loved playing Old Shardless so much, so that can be in our gauntlet.
I recently played against Old Shardless in a stream, and I was so confused because I was figuring there must be something I'm missing, but no, it's just straight up Old Shardless Bug, but without Deathray Shaman, which I don't know about that.
no, Deathray Shaman was too key. Yeah.
True. So for the rest of the top 8, we got, I'm going to call it Green-White Maverick Depth. I think we at some point might have had a better name for that, but I don't remember it. That's why I put it down like that in the show notes.
Yeah, it looks like Green-White Depths. This is Dominic Harvey, who's a SCG commentator. Very, very strong player as well, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay. No, he's from England as well, but he moved to America a couple of years ago and teared up the SCG circuit and is now a commentator for them. Pretty cool. But yeah, he's always trying to innovate. He's always brewing, so this is really cool to see him do well with this. He went through the replay of it with Jarvis on stream as well, so check that out if you're interested in the deck.
Oh, awesome.
Looks strong to me. Yeah, and then we did just gloss over quickly, there was a lovely Back to Basics Astrolabe deck. I don't want you to forget about these things.
Oh, yeah.
But this is sadly only 4 colours, which upsets me because I wanted to ask you how you feel about 5 colors, but we'll get to it.
Did they slightly switch up the basics? Did they play like 2 islands and 2 planes or something?
There's 2 forests, 3 islands, 1 plains, 1 swamp.
That kind of stuff gets me off. That gets me so excited, man. How many tundras did they play?
1 tundra, of course. 1 underground sea, 1
that's
tundra,
how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah. It's just
God, this is so bullshit. Sorry, I guess the Musa Sabi. Their name actually sticks out to me, so they must have like played quite well over the years. So they certainly played well, and they probably made a good decision in picking the deck. It's just I hate the deck. Yeah. It's not even hate. Like how do you describe something where you don't actively hate it? You just think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not sure the word. They should have had the 5th color. That's what you're thinking, right?
Pretty much. Like you need those.
Like they have Back to Basics, but you could have Blood Moon and From the Ashes as well. Which
and at some point we will splash waste mana, so we can have Thought Not Seers in the sideboard.
Yeah.
If we haven't, it's probably gonna give you the upside in the mirror.
I'm actually gonna sneak in a sneaky surprise listener question here. Earlier today, Marcus asked me to ask you, What's your opinion on playing Snow Mirrors where both players play Blood Moon against each other?
First thing is, why didn't Marcus ask me directly? I feel like I'm back in primary school. Can you ask this guy that question? It's like, oh, does he like Michaela? No. Oh, he likes Sandra. It's like, oh. So you were saying
Snow. Moving onwards, so that's a 4-color Snow deck, no red, in 5th place. And then lastly, rounding out the top 8 is Theo Young, who's a MTGO end boss, playing Rug Delver. It looks pretty standard to me. I think it is. It's pretty close to what Daniel Gouldakat's playing, but it's pretty standard now.
Daniel plays 2 Engineered Explosives. He's playing 1 Engineered Explosives, 1 Rough Tumble, which got me really good.
You played against him?
Yeah, I think I went 5-2, and I lost against them in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the top 16, or we could jump to...
we got so much more to talk about. So if there's anything in the top 16 that sticks out to you, for example, like 13th place, this Julian guy playing Elves. Oh my god, so good. Check this out. Super standard Elves list, 2 chokes in the sideboard. Awesome.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, no, felt good to like not get totally demolished, because I actually haven't played in any of the big tournaments in Magic Online lately. I've been doing tons of leagues, but then I've been spending my weekends doing a lot of other stuff. But recently I caught the bug with Allosaurus Shepherd back in the format,
yeah.
And that card, holy shit, does that card produce some bullshit games.
Yeah.
Like, some games.
It's a bullshit card, come on.
It's the total bullshit card. It's basically the one green version of Astrolabe in a way. I've played against some Delver decks today, and they tapped out on the 2nd turn. And if it's the first game, they're not going to have Submerge. So you literally know the moment they tap out that you won the game. And you're up against something like 6 cards in hand. They kept a 7. They had a really good opening. They kept with their Ponder. Turn 2, they tap out, let's say, for Dreadhorde Arcanist. And you literally know, even though you only played 2 elves on your first 2 turns, you literally know the game is deterministically over. And this is not the kind of Magic I want to play. So I like that it gives the deck I enjoy the most a huge boost, but it's also like real stupid in the very sense of the word.
I'm not a fan of the card. It's again one of these pushed cards, which is cool. I like push cards, and I really like that this helps Tribal. I'm a big fan of that. I love that Elves is getting better with this card. I love that Goblins has gotten a huge boost recently with Muxus, although it's kind of pushed as well. But it's just they could have done something slightly different. Maybe let it be countered, and then you can have everything else, or like the ability
or
to
just
make
a few
everything
creatures
5/5.
uncountable, right?
Yeah, creatures, exactly. It feels another one. It's like, why isn't Arcanist a 1/1? Why wasn't Deathright Shaman a 0/1? It feels like another one of those. At least it's a 1/1 and dice to Plague Engineer, though.
that's actually sometimes annoying. And then I remember how stupid the card is. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Stupid against stupid. What can you do? No, that is part of my general thing. I remember in one chat we had a discussion with Anorak about like, what do I really want when I always talk about, hey, I like pre-2012 so much. People are like, yeah, but why? And the thing that I always arrive to is I want the advantages to be more granular, more nuanced. Yeah. So you get an advantage, but it's not a +5. It's more like a +1.5, and that accumulates. And as long as you're like in a window of like +7, I'm just like making up numbers, but the relation of them to each other is what I mean. As long as like your opponent's maximum at an advantage of +7, that's still recuperable. But we now have cards that instantly give you a +5, and then you need just a little more to push it over the edge. And I guess that's also why the pitch counters are so good, because you can really protect the queen for like a couple turns, and then it's really over. And we're not going to change that, but it's good to cast attention to that, if only for people to be more aware in deck building that they need to be able to fight over some really pushed stuff.
Yep, I absolutely agree. All right, so should we move on to the challenge?
Yeah, oh.
Look who's in first place again, Mr. Bryant Cook again. So Bryant's list looks exactly the same. I can't imagine he changed anything. I'm not going to look for that. So yeah, crushed it again. In second place, now we can go to Achilles' list. I said it before. It's Maverick, but it's quite different. So there's 2 Kaya Ors of Usurper, which is pretty cool. It stands out to me. This card, in case anyone doesn't know, is 1 white and a black for a Planeswalker. It comes in with 3 loyalty. You can +1 to exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. You gain 2 life if at least 1 creature was exiled this way. So this is a nice ability to have. You can exile like targets for Dreadhorde Arcanist. You can exile Uros. There are other graveyard decks in the format. Next ability is -1, exile target non-land permanent with a converted mana cost 1 or less. So this is just good in Legacy. You have Aether Vials, Delvers, Allosaurus Riders, Astrolabes. Yeah, good ability. And then the -5 is it deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life. So that could kill if someone's been like Uroing quite a lot. It's not that unreasonable. So it seems like a good card to me. I've watched Achilles' streams quite a lot, so we'll link the stream in the show notes if you want to get good at Maverick with them. But Kaya's looked pretty good from what I've seen, so that's a cool inclusion. Otherwise, we have pretty standard. You have 4 knights, you have lots of greens and zenith targets, you have 4 Thalias, no Stoneforge Mystic. There's 2 main deck Plague Engineers. It's like slightly not common, I think.
Well, it is now, I guess.
It is now.
I watched his stream during the top 8, and in the semifinals, he played against Testicular on Elves, and historically, Maverick used to be one of our very, very best matchups in Elves, like really good. At this point, looking at this list and also the sideboard, where there's, well, chalices are not so much of a big deal, I guess, but also them having chalice now makes us keep Allosaurus Rider, which is like awkward, which you don't really want. So what I want to say is, this might almost be favorable for this kind of Maverick now at this point, which is kind of sad, but this deck is really, really strong.
Depends which side you're on.
I mean, the thing is, like, the Maverick is my second big passion, my first big love in Legacy. So I don't mind it too much. It's powerful. I wonder if he's going to make a couple of adjustments to account for more TS stuff. I guess you got the 2 chalices for 0, which actually hurt TS quite a bit if you can get them off on the play.
Thalia is still very good against Storm as well.
Yeah,
there's 4 Thalias. I know that Achilles also top 8'd the NRG event, which you commentated, right?
They didn't invite me this time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I bet the guys, like everybody did an awesome job on that. I wanted to watch, but ended up getting a little too late. So,
fair enough.
But usually they're putting on a great show. So I'm really happy that we have third-party organizers stepping up the game and bringing these kind of shows.
Yeah, Achilles was like duo streaming, top 8 both events. That's cool. Good outing for Maverick. Third place, we have your favorite deck again. We have 5 color snow, 2 sideboard back to basics. I'd just like to point out.
Oh, how original.
2 forest, 2 island, 1 plains, 1 swamp this time. Not 3 islands. Are you interested in that?
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, this is a pretty standard.
I guess this is actually... Oh, no. Now I actually end up being interested in it. So I guess you cut the island so you can add the 5th... This is how you do it in this kind of deck. You cut a basic island, you add a volcanic island, and suddenly a whole world of opportunity opens up to you.
Now you're getting it. So you get the 2 Pyroblasts on the sideboard. And you got the back to basics, and so yeah. Great.
This is just so bullshit.
I love pushing these buttons. It's so fun.
This is so bullshit. And it even has 2 Plague Engineer in the sideboard. Like, what the fuck? And 2 Containment Priest. Yeah, sure.
So
okay, I get it all. Oh, and Leovold in the main. Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Man, this is such bullshit. This is
crazy. The deck could play some Blood Moons in my opinion, but it's okay for now.
Yeah, maybe they couldn't afford them. But they can now.
Well, with all the basics, you just get your forest, your island, your plains, and your swamp, and then you play a Blood Moon, and then it fixes the rest of your red mana.
What about your basic mountain to play around the Blood Moon?
Yeah, it's too big brain for me. Can't do it. All right, in 4th place, we have another copy of Elves. Looks like Sorrow Shepherd again. Looks to be pretty standard to me.
Yeah, sideboard is a little bit different. I recently removed the White Splash because I felt like the kind of combo decks I'm going up against, Arcan isn't helping me out too much. Okay. And hardcasting the second Behemoth actually becomes a thing. But if you do have the White Splash, I think the biggest thing is you get access to the 3 deafening silences in the sideboard, which are really, really good because they cover more than just straight up Storm combo. They are also like, if you lead on deafening silence against something like Dredge, for example, that's surprisingly good. Or if you have it against Infect, that's also really good. Like, they can never commit to a pump spell.
That's true.
And because then you have Replicate, unless I guess it's Nexus. But yeah, it's a fringe thing, but it's nice when you have a really strong hate card that also covers as additional splash hate against other decks.
It's also very good against Urza Echoes. I've been on the other side a few times, and it's surprisingly insane. Cool. 5th place, we have Ninjas. It's Bug Ninjas with Oko. We've seen this a few times. Yeah, it's cool. The deck's still doing well. It had like a weekend where it top 8'd both challenges, won Winnie, I believe, and stuff, and there was a lot of hype. It's slightly died down, but the deck is strong. I like it. It's like, slightly fallen off the hype, but yep, nice to see it top 8 again.
Yeah, the deck is stronger than the individual cards make it look. Like this kind of deck usually you see come up in Legacy, everybody gets excited for 2 weeks, and then nobody ever plays it again. But this, I don't know, it seems to be here to stay. It's you see a deck with 4 only top die can't help and looks so bullshit, and 4 changing outcast, but it's good. It's really not it's solid tier 2, I wanna say.
Yep, I agree with that, definitely. It can snowball. It's a deck with just blue and black are such strong colors in the format as well. You just have access to all the forces. Plague Engineer as well is so good these days. So yeah, nice to see. In 6th place, we have Sylvia Wataru on Rugdelver as always, which this player is just absolutely too good. They are a Japanese player that started streaming as well recently, so check that out.
Oh, they're streaming as well? Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm following them on Twitter. We should link the stream because I actually even want to see that. They
are like just top level rug master. So we'll add that. They have some pretty cool cyber tech. I think you like this card. What do you think of Mind Harness?
Yeah, dude, I love that they have Red Elemental Blast in the sideboard. It's so cool. It counters No, seriously. They have Mind Harness. I don't even need to look because I've been following them for a while, and they started putting Mind Harness back into Legacy, where it belongs. For those who don't know, Mind Harness used to be a Legacy staple in the sideboard. It's a creature enchantment. So how many playable creature enchantments do we actually have in Legacy?
Very few.
Like, seriously.
I can't think of
I guess
any.
we call them auras now. Aura. Yeah. Mind Harness, 1 blue, play only on a red or green creature. Gain control of enchanted creature. Like, what the fuck?
It's yours.
Okay, it has cumulative upkeep 1 colorless. So you first pay 1, then you pay 2, then you pay 3, and then you already killed your opponent because Uro attacked twice. So this is really, really awesome if you put this on an Uro or even a Dreadhorde Arcanist. Yes, you have to pay a little bit of mana for that, but you really gotta see it from both ways. Not only do you get an awesome creature, your opponent is also denied an awesome creature that they tapped out for, that you stole for 1 blue mana. It's such a big tempo swing, and it will provide you with a ton of card advantage against these kind of decks. I love this card. I used to put this on Rock Swarmonk, but now it's just so much better.
It's also insane in the mirrors because the mirrors really end up revolving around like Tarmogoyf or Hooting Mandrills and Dreadhorde Arcanist, especially the green creatures, because your rug, you don't have like Fatal Push or Source of Plowshares. These mirrors really like struggle to remove the green creatures apart from Oko, so this is another way to do it. This is why they're playing like so many submerges because of these other threats, but this is just like stepping it up even further. This is foot on the pedal.
Yeah, that card just makes me happy.
Yep. Otherwise, looks pretty standard. Yep. 3 submerges for those stupid decks playing forests. Nice. 7th
I think
place.
we mentioned this before. Submerge is a big thing now that Allosaurus Shepherd is here. So you really need to be able to remove it even when you're tapped out, and Submerge is giving you that kind of threat.
Yeah, because it is quite a blowout to be able to submerge the rider and then force what you think is an uncountable natural order. It depends.
When you just bounce it to your Wyvern Symbiote and then they force your spell, say a Glimpse, then you trade it 3 for 1, which is kind of a big deal. But if it's on a natural order, it's a little bit more annoying.
Cool. 7th place, we have some more 5-color snow with Back to Basics. Moving swiftly onwards, unless you have anything to say anymore. Let it all out. No. All right, in 8th place, we have Urza Echoes, which is another deck we've talked about a few times. Really cool deck, super powerful, can win on the first turn sometimes. It's pretty good against combo because you have 4 forces in the sideboard to bring in, and you're playing cards like Narset and Khan, the Great Creator, and Chalice of the Void. So this just keeps on performing as well, I think. It's another one of these.
It's fully established itself in the metagame.
Yeah, solid tier 2, like we said.
I can only imagine how expensive the deck is, though.
Yeah.
I gotta pull it up here. It's only 651 tickets. Let's look at actual proper dollars.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only 3,000. Okay. I mean, Elves is more expensive. Right, okay, Elves is one of the most expensive decks in the format.
Cradles are crazy, yeah.
It's just Elves on Goldfish is 3.5k, which makes it by far. Okay, Simic lands, whatever that is up there.
That's just normal lands, I think.
Yeah. I guess there's a Tabernacle or 2.
Yeah. Cool. So pretty cool top 8. We had a couple of Snows, a Delver and stuff. But yeah, cool to see Tez, as we've said a few times, and Maverick take it out. In the top 16, we had 2 Dredges, which caught my eye, which is pretty cool. And
I think Dredge, that's a similar principle to TES and to a certain degree also Hogaak. People don't really respect those super, at least I don't respect those super fast decks anymore, and I feel like a lot of the format hasn't been respecting them for quite a while. I guess there's Black Red Reanimator that's still somewhat around, but other than that, there's
I've not even seen Reanimator for so long. It just feels like it doesn't even exist. I'm not sure.
Maybe we're actually on the verge, on the watershed, where Legacy is about to change again, and
could be.
Yeah,
could be.
I've seen some people playing Grixis Delver again. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, but yeah, yeah. The black cards, they don't seem like they add enough.
Okay, so here's my thing. Hear me out. Maybe we just play straight up old Canadian Threshold, like without those 3 mana things. And in order to combat Oko and Uro, we actually have just, I don't know, Mind Harnesses for Uro, even though that already gives them the extra land drop. Okay, so we need to fight Uro on the stack.
Yeah, but the problem with that deck is you cannot play Nimble Mongoose. It's just too bad. I'm sorry, Nimble Mongoose fans. I love the card as much as everyone else, but a 3/3, like, there's Ice Fang Quattles as well as Baleful Strixes now.
It needs First Strike.
Yeah, First Strike would make it okay. But, like...
First Strike Trample.
Like, Snapcaster Mage is not in the format anymore. That was why it was okay, because the random bodies were Snapcaster Mages. Now the random bodies are Elks, which are 3/3s and trading, or the Ice Fang Quattles, which are trading.
Such a good point.
Like, it's not getting through.
Can I exchange you like for a co-host that's not so smart, so I can like keep living my dream or something?
I want Nimble Mongoose to be good as well, but it's just...
Yeah, you say that now, but you also like 5-color bullshit.
I didn't say that, but I don't mind it. The other thing is Stifle is also like kind of bad against Uro. Like, they pull ahead on lands. Like, people are just playing more lands because it's better to have your mana and cast more powerful spells. We're seeing creature decks as well. Like,
okay. There's going to be a spoiler in Zendikar Rising that's going to punish people for playing a lot of lands, so we will talk about that later.
Is there anything else Blood Moon and Back to Basics?
Leyline of the Blood Moon. I keep calling for it. One day they will vote me into Wizards of the Coast.
Can I exchange a host that doesn't have horrible ideas? No, otherwise, nothing stood out to me in the top 16, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry if there's something cool which I missed.
Oh wait, whoa! In 25th place, this is like a rare specimen. This is actual Death and Taxes played by Kuro here in 25th place.
Oh, I didn't scroll down that far. My apologies.
Yeah. There could be, that's the slogan of Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes. I didn't scroll down that far.
I'm sorry.
This is where the deck is at right now.
We mentioned Death and Taxes on the cast before, like recently, and I think the deck is not as bad as people make out.
Yeah, there's a certain flaw to the deck that's good enough to be playable as a Legacy deck. And like we mentioned before, there's also a thing where you hear that your deck is bad, so you're going to play something else. Whereas the limiting factor to maybe you or not, like I think to a lot of people, the limiting factor is not even like how good that deck is, but how well they're playing with the deck. Kind of like how in a fighting game, you hear that your character is like mid-tier and you feel like, oh no, I gotta play the top-tier character. But maybe if you just kept playing your mid-tier character, that will already give you like enough to break into higher things than you know what I mean? That the thing that controls how deep you go is not how good your deck is, but how well you play it. And then once you get to the maximum of that, maybe then you think about new character or a new deck.
And when your perception or the way you think that everyone perceives your deck or character in this case to be worse and like unplayable, as like people like to say, and then when you're thinking you're going into a league or going into some matches thinking, oh, this deck is terrible, I'm not going to win, like that mindset is going to make you make mistakes as well. It's a downward spiral very often in that kind of case. And as people start thinking your deck is worse and worse, the better players sometimes drop off it and it's not being worked on as much as well. Like, there's a lot of small factors coming into it, which I think doesn't help the deck. But similar to Espervile, there is a new card, which we'll get to shortly when we get to the spoilers, which is incredibly strong in the deck. So maybe that'll help rejuvenate it.
Awesome. So before we jump to the spoilers, I actually want to cast some more attention to one of the 5-0 lists that were actually posted on the weekend, or I guess a couple of days ago. And that is by twin_MTG, who went 5-0 with a deck that I can only really describe as blue-green Delver. It's quite interesting.
Very cool. So some of the standard stuff. So the creature suite is kind of weird. So there's 4 Delvers, as you said, it was a Delver deck. There's 2 Brazen Borrower. There's 2 Hex Drinker, which I like this card. I think it was often laughed about. It was played in the Rena 6 era Delver decks, and it's pretty strong. Like people need to answer. It's very good against control, so I'm not surprised to see that do well.
4 mana into it for it to become basically hexproof against instants, right?
I believe it's 3.
3? So could that be the next Nimble Mongoose?
Could be. This is much better than Nimble Mongoose. Being a 4/4 is very relevant. Then it has protection from instants.
Oh, you're right. You need to put 3 mana.
Yeah.
So from
and then it's 8 becomes a 6/6 protection from everything. I think this card's good. But what's really cool? So there's 2 Uros as well because Uro is insane. There's 2 Jolariel Monvoli Recluse. So this is a 1 and a green for a 1/2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. And you can pay 4 greens, so 6 mana total. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So this is a cool card. It's kind of like Young Pyromancer-ish, but you want to be just drawing extra cards. So there's some nice synergies here. It's really good with the Sylvan Library, because Sylvan Library draws you extra cards each turn. It's cool with Brainstorm, because you can cast Brainstorm on your opponent's turn, and you'll be drawing an additional card for 2 to make it cat. It's good with Uro, whenever it comes in or attacks. So, interesting card, though I don't think the power level is there. I tried it in Phoenix a bit, and
you did? Okay.
With Jarvis on the stream, and it really, really underperformed for us. So, but maybe the shell was bad for it.
The thing is, for as much as I like the card, there's only really 8 cards that enable it. That's for Ponder, for Brains. Okay, Uro. I'm gonna give you Uro.
Yeah.
But if you're already attacking with an Uro, then your 2-drop is not going to make that big of a difference, I guess.
Yeah.
And Sylvan Library makes it so that you basically get a cat X every turn, even though that's...
The thing is, even if you could always enable it, for 2 mana you're getting a 3/4, then a 5/6.
Oh, true.
I mean, it's just not that good. even by the today's standards, even when you're living the dream as a 2 mana 5/6 split across 3 bodies, it's just not up to scratch really. So I don't know. I'm not convinced the card is very good, to be honest.
It has 2 counterbalances in the sideboard. I'm loving it.
Oh my god, it does indeed. Yeah.
Oh man. So maybe somebody out there is gonna play the deck and be excited by it. I don't know. Blue-green has always been a color combination. Blue-green as a color combination embodies everything I am as a player. I want tempo. I want acceleration. I want influence over the board state, which is something blue gives you through bounce and stuff. I want card advantage, which you get from blue and green as well. I want to be aggressive, which, okay, in this deck, the blue part is the aggressive part, I guess, which is so weird in Legacy. But the green part is also aggressive. This is color combination-wise everything I ever wanted. But yeah, this deck, it's not doing it for me, but it's quite unique. By the way, if you're up against it, it also has Force Stifle, which can not only enable Uro, they can also stifle your fetch land, even though that's a rare thing, I guess, these days.
I think I'd like to see a couple of Dismember in here. There's no removal outside of Oko, really.
Yeah, there's Oko. Is there anything like Pongify, maybe? That's the thing that creates a 3/3 ape creature token.
I think Dismember is still pretty much the best thing to be doing in blue and green. I quite like this.
And it needs Mind Harnesses in the sideboard, I guess.
Yeah, true. There is Jittes in the sideboard.
Oh, that's old school. Remember when Chitta was one of the cards in Legacy, and now it's a thing that people mention, hey, there's a Chitta in the sideboard. You're like, oh, you don't say. There's also Pyroblast. Pyroblast, who plays that?
Yeah.
And speaking of who plays that, we will soon be playing Zendikar Rising in Legacy. That's the new edition that's going to come out. Do you have any idea when that's going to be released?
It comes onto Magic Online on the 17th, so in 3 days.
Oh, okay. That's actually really soon.
Very soon, yeah.
I think the most interesting concept about Zendikar Rising is that it introduces... Do we have a name for those lands yet? The one I liked the most was cassette lands, because you have to turn them around, like if you listen to a recording.
I've heard bolt lands, because they bolt you.
Bolt lands?
Well, for the mythic ones.
Oh, because they don't shock you, they bolt you?
Yeah.
One day we're going to have Fire Blast lands.
Yeah, and they come into play and do really insane things. So for the mythic ones, I like bolt lands, like shock lands. But for the other ones, I haven't seen a good name yet. What do you think of these cards?
The concept is incredibly interesting and offers a lot of potential. So for those who are wondering, what is that actually? So there are double-faced cards. One side is going to be like a straight-up land. It either comes into play tapped, or there are also other ones who come into play untapped if you pay 3 life. So straight up like a shock land, but both lands. But the thing is, they also have a backside. And the backside is usually a sorcery. I think it's always a sorcery. Isn't it instant? I don't know.
There's some instants as well.
Okay. and you can cast the backside. So technically, what these lands are doing is they're gonna increase your spells to land ratio in a deck, which on average gives you better draws. Not only do they, like, it depends on what you replace, right? If you replace spells, then it's gonna give you better mana, and if you replace lands, then it's just gonna give you more business while still maintaining the same mana ratio that you're used to. And that's a super interesting concept. The price to pay is pretty steep. Like, I think with regards to Legacy, we can basically discount all that comes into play lands. I haven't seen any of those that had a backside effect that was insane.
There's one which we'll get to and talk about properly, which is basically a fling, which I think has a small chance of being a sideboard card in lands for like for like Swords to Plowshares matchup, so you can fling a Merit Lage. But other than that, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Something interesting that could also come up if you ever play with those are actually lands that can get Thoughtseized or Durist if they're instant sorcery or something.
This is a really, really relevant part. Like, if you've ever played with Land Grant and like, well, getting it forced is different because you can't do that to these ones. But if you're on the draw and they just Thoughtseize you and like take your one land as Land Grant, if you're doing a Land Grant deck, or it feels really bad. So in this case, yeah, you've got to be careful. I think people are talking about Belcher and stuff with these things. They're not reliable lands. Coming into play tapped is a huge, huge deal. It might be okay in Standard and potentially like Pioneer, Historic can play some, but this is middle ground between all of them. I think I agree with you that the come into play tap ones just going to have a really hard time in Legacy. They could enable some kind of weird Belcher oops deck, but I'm ahhing on the side of no for these ones. Like, the main thing to think about with both of the ones that come into play untapped and tapped is you shouldn't be concentrating on power level. What the card does is not so important, but the opportunity cost is the most important thing with these cards. So what is the opportunity cost of putting a land that deals you 3 damage when it comes to play, but on the flip side you get to play the spell sometimes? So I think a lot of decks are going to find that the opportunity cost of taking 3 damage is actually higher than how often they cast the spell. And they might try it out and then realize in the end, this doesn't really work. The main things we're going to see, so what we mentioned before, Belcher, quickly, is so the black one and the red one, what they enable is they are not lands on the front side. So Oops or Spells, which is a deck revolving around Balustrade Spy and Undercity Informer, and Goblin Child Belcher, which doesn't want you to have any lands in your deck. You can play these. So this is where the opportunity cost isn't actually what the front sides of the cards do, but they are not lands but they are lands that you can play. So this is a different kind of opportunity cost we're talking about here. And yeah, allowing for high density of spells, I think people are just going to find out that they don't want that. You've got to look very, very, very critically at what the spell side of the land does and think how often you're casting that versus just casting this as a spell. Like, we could start off our spoilers if you have
sure.
Nothing to say. So let's take the green one, for example, because we were just talking about elves recently as well. So what would you think about putting this in elves?
Yeah, everybody's been asking me about this.
Let's kick this off.
So technically, you could do it, right? Because you would replace a land, and that's how I think about it. So you can have a better ratio of spells to lands. That's the thing I already mentioned. Or you replace a spell, so your mana is going to be better. And that's actually something you have to consciously make, because if you replace a spell, then your overall spell quality is going to come down, but your mana is going to be better. Whereas if you replace a land, then your spell quality on average, I guess, is kind of the same. It's maybe even slightly going up because you have a better ratio or something. You get the idea, right? Mm-hmm. The thing about elves is, first of all, the 3 life is a really big deal. Elves, especially post-bot, ends up grinding against a lot of decks. I finished so many matches on like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever life, and if I had less life, then my opponent would have probably bolted me out instead of killing my creature. So the 3 life is incredibly relevant. I could still see running this if the front side was better. The front side, for those wondering, is 7 mana, 4 colorless and 3 green. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature from among them onto the battlefield. If that card doesn't convert, mana cost 3 or less, so basically everything except for Progenitus and Krata of Behemoth, it enters with 3 additional +1/+1 counters on it, and the rest goes in the bottom of your library in a random order. Getting a 7 mana 4/4 Violet Symbiote really isn't it. Like, I could see it if it was like 3 mana, then I would be all about this card, I think. But even then, I wouldn't be sure what to cut. Maybe even cut lands or something. But the effect for, like, people think, we had a discussion about this on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, with Daniel and Peter van der Ham. People think Elves has mana, so Elves is the big, like, people think about Elves as Nick Fit sometimes, whereas I honestly can tell you the number one reason I lose games with Elves is because I can't get to my second or third mana. And putting a 7 mana thing in it, and I know it would be basically free if you replace the land with it, because then the opportunity cost is more like, oh, you're gonna lose 3 life at times, but it's also gonna give you an extra card at times. But 7 mana for this kind of effect, that's basically the trade-off, right, that I'm looking at. The effect was better, yes, but the effect is really, really bad considering the investment of 7 mana. 7 mana, like, for 5 mana you can get Nissa, and yeah, Nissa is not something that can double as a land like this one can do, but Nissa is Nissa Vital Force, that is. Yeah. That is so infinitely better, and that's already in the high end. Like, sometimes I feel like, oh, can I really justify running Nissa? 5 mana is just such a big deal. The only deck where I can really see it is something like you mentioned already, like Belcher. Basically can give you 4 additional Elfer Spirit Guides, or...
I could see Nick Fit playing one of these. Nick Fit always has the toys.
What are you going to get, a 4 for Veteran Explorer?
Or maybe Hydra Bull could play it.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god, you don't know what Hydra Bull is? It's like Cheerios, but it uses crop rotation to get guys Cradle and cast Creative Behemoths.
Wait, that's Elves.
Well, it's just better Elves. You have sideboard Beastmaster Ascensions.
Are you fucking kidding me? I have no idea what this is.
I'll show you after.
Hydro Bull.
Hydra Bull.
Hydra Ball. Oh, yeah. Oh, get it. I thought like water. Hydro Bull.
No. Hydra Bull. No.
I still don't know what it is.
Okay. It's basically broken. We shouldn't talk about it too much because people might pick it up and get Kobolds of Carekeep banned.
So you see, we're actually reaching if you're trying to find a place for this deck. For this card.
I find these bolt lands quite hard to judge because the payoff is kind of there, like being a spell and a land that comes to play untapped is really, really powerful, but the spell sides are just not good for Legacy, and like they're not even close to being good enough. So we can just walk through the red and the black one because I think they kind of all come under a very similar umbrella of what we're trying to do with them. So the red one is called Shatterskull Smashing, awesome name, and then the other side is Shatterskull the Hammer Pass. For 2 red and X, it deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and/or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, Shatterskull Smashing deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. So this one being the red one, I think we'll see Belcher play this actually. We could see some other combo decks, again like Oops All Spells kind of esque things, because it's a land. But the other side, like, I guess this kills Hate Bears, which is cool. So for 4 mana, you can kill a Meddling Mage, or 3, you can kill a Thalia, or 4 actually for Thalia. But that's terrible. Like 4 mana for 2 damage is really bad, and you're not doing much else with it. The black one is Agadeem's Awakening. The other side is Agadeem the Undercrypt for the land. It is 3 black and X. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different mana cost X or less. So you can't do like 3 mana to return 3 X spells. You can pay 3 mana and X to return Ornithopter's play, or you can pay 3 black and 1 for a 1-drop. But it's going to be like 6 mana to return a 3-drop, 7 mana to return a 4-drop. So I could see Oops casting it sometimes, but other than that, like, it's just a weak card.
This one has like Buck Nickfit written all over it.
Yeah, kind of. Like you can return your Eternal Witness to return it.
Yep, Baleful Strix, and we got the engine going.
Yeah.
Like everything Nickfit is desperately reaching for the times when you had Survival. And when we didn't call it Nickfit at the time, but the deck was kind of like Nickfit. And now that Survival is gone, like 9 years, it's soon going to be the 9-year anniversary. Yeah. Or is it actually the 10-year anniversary? Oh, it's soon to be the 10-year anniversary. Oh my god.
Nice.
Ever since that deck has been trying to emulate Survival in a way, and it never really got close to it.
Yeah, so this is where I stand on them. I don't think they're as good as people think, and we're just going to see them because of the utility of not being a land.
People think they're good?
I think so.
Have you yet to encounter anyone?
From the discourse I've seen, people think, wow, spell plus land, that's insane, without actually critically thinking, like how it's good.
If it only was 1 life, I could maybe see it. Like,
I think it would be insane at 1 life.
Yeah,
but 3 life is a lot.
You're probably right.
I think you'd play them in like so many. Like 1 life is a fetch land. I mean, these are not as good as fetch lands by far, but you'd definitely play them at 1. But 3 is just a lot. Like it adds up. So they are this kind of bordering on the power level because of just inherently what a split card of land that comes to play untapped and spell does. That one of them could fit into a shell that's really good. But I think that's the only good thing going for them, honestly.
It's interesting that Wizards made the front side the spell and the back side the land, because if you look at them like a story, the back side is actually what's happening first. Like if you look at Shutterskull Pass, for example, it's the Shutterskull Pass.
Oh yeah.
And then the spell, then it collapses. Then the thing is coming down. And that actually has huge implications for Legacy in the sense that because the front side is the spell, it's not a creature, it's not a land, right? So we can actually put it into Belcher and Upsal spells.
Yeah.
I wonder what made Wizards make that decision. Obviously, it was not Legacy, but even if you look at the chronological thing, there must be a reason they did it this way.
I would guess discard spells. Like we always mention Thoughtseize, but
that's good.
Discard spells are pretty universal for every format. There's like Thought Erasure and stuff. So
yeah, but they try to like prevent feel bads, and getting a land discard is probably like a major feel bad.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the main reason.
But then they would have needed to do it the other way around. But okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So moving on, there's a couple of more cards. Like, why don't you just like pick one you like and we'll discuss that?
Pick one I like. Okay, let's jump straight into. I think might be the best card in the set is Skyclave Apparition. So this is the one we alluded to earlier by saying about Espervile and Death and Taxes. So Skyclave Apparition is a 2/2 for 1 2 white, so 3 mana total. When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent you don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Skyclave Apparition leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an XX blue illusion creature token, where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. So the too long didn't read is when so-and-so enters the battlefield, exile target Oko. And when it dies, they don't get the fucking Oko back. Excuse my French. So this is what Death and Taxes players especially have been wanting. I think Oko is a big reason the deck has gotten worse. And they have because they are a combat-focused, a red zone-focused deck. So they're trying to attack Planeswalkers down by going wide or like Mother of Runesing and stuff. And Oko just goes on such high loyalty, as we all know. This gets Recruiter of the Guarded, which is really key. It's just a great card.
Yeah, and you don't really care too much about them getting an extra creature if this actually ends up dying. Yeah. Because those decks, like, for example, Death and Taxes or also Espervile, they're really well set up to deal with, like, random vanilla creatures, right?
There's Flicker Wisp flickering the token out and stuff like that. And, yeah, they have plenty of ways to deal with it, as you said. And what's interesting is they use the old templating on this, like Flicker Wisp. So what I mean is, when it comes to play, you have the ETB trigger, and you can respond to that by like vialing in a Flicker Wisp, for example, and then you'll get the leave trigger, and then you'll get another ETB trigger again. So you can permanently exile an Oko, for example, or any permanent it could target by doing that, which is weird because they kind of moved away from that templating. Like some of the more recent ones, I remember Kitesail Freebooter and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. This is what Death and Taxes likes, especially, and Espervile.
Yeah, I think it only works with the old templating, right? Because for the other cards, like Oblivion Ring, which was changed into Banishing Light, the original thing comes back. But when the original thing does come back, but here the original thing doesn't come back, right? So I guess that's why they needed the old templating.
Well, that's how this is worded. This is in the old way.
Oh, this is in the old way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I think you couldn't. Yeah. The thing is. Oh yeah, now I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the reason you can't word it in the new way is because the new way is about the thing coming back.
I see.
Once this is gone. So here you have to you could word it in a way for as long as Skyclaw. No, even that wouldn't work.
Yeah. It's messy. But
it's quite messy. I like it. That's why we like what we like in Legacy, especially in those wild decks, right?
Yeah,
Lots of
totally.
Interesting interactions.
So there's not too much to say other than this card is really good and it will go in those decks, I believe. I think it'll be a multiple. I think it'll be 2 to 3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Both decks are really clogged up at the 3-drop slot already, but I think the card is good enough to do that. Going to give a public service announcement. This card doesn't have flying. I keep looking at it thinking it has flying.
Oh, man.
And the illusion doesn't have flying either. Just keep that in your mind. I'm staring at the picture right now thinking that is a 2/2 flying, but it's not.
She's levitating or something, yeah.
Yeah.
It's even a core spirit. Like, if it's a core spirit, like, how is it not flying? But yeah.
I really thought it was flying until...
I would have totally fallen for that.
Until I'm reading the card out now, yeah. Cool.
And speaking of flying, let me pick the next one. That's Archon of Emeria. It's a 2/3 flying for 2 colorless and a white. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. So none of that non-creature, non-creature, whatever nonsense, non-artifact nonsense. Just one spell per turn per player. Non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. I like that they phrased it in the plural because it could be a multiplayer card. So this is not bad, right? This could be a one-off in some kind of decks. The problem I see with it is the 3 toughness, actually. It's kind of funny. If you're a white hate bear, it's actually better if you have 2 toughness than if you have 3 toughness because of Recruit off the guard.
True. My problem is the 3 mana. Yeah, 3 toughness is bad because of Bolt. Like, you want it to be 2 or a 4, like you said, for Recruit, or 4 for Bolt. But I think 3 mana, like, the effects are cool. They are exactly what something like Death and Taxes would want. But I think 3 mana is just 1 mana too much for this card. Like, we've seen Thalia Heretic Cathar sees Fringe play, but it's never picked up because all these decks have so many good hate bears at 3 mana. At 3 mana, you could play a Sanctum Prelate, which I think is much more disruptive than this card.
Looking at it from the Art's perspective, Thalia Heretic Cathar is the most annoying thing that you see in main decks. I mean, there's one Canonist and Containment Priest, but as main deck cards go, making your Cradles come to play tapped, that's just like, you usually use them as one-shot rituals against these kind of decks, and then they will get ported and wasted in oblivion. But yeah, I agree, this is not really there. Like, if it was a 2/4 and could actually block Delvar, now maybe we'd be talking.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not quite there.
Okay, deleting it from the file. What's your next pick?
Let's keep going with the, not actually keep going with the good ones. Let's go with another good one, I think, Seagate Stormcaller. So this one's been picking up a lot of chatter, and I think it's a pretty strong card. So it's a 1 and a blue for a 2/1. It has Kicker for 4 and a blue, which is probably quite relevant for this format. It's a human wizard, so pretty relevant creature types. When Seagate Stormcaller enters the battlefield, copy the next instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 2 or less you cast this turn when you cast it. If Seagate Stormcaller was kicked, copy that spell twice instead. You may choose new targets for the copies. So as I said, the kick thing, I don't think that's really happening very much. But this is like a Snapcaster Mage, is the most obvious thing to show it against. But they have some pros and cons. I think they actually become a lot more different as you start to think about it further. So Snapcaster Mage gets better as the game goes longer. It becomes almost like a Demonic Tutor for your best spell. You just have access to the removal spell you need, the counter spell you need. So it's also got Flash, obviously, and this doesn't have Flash. So Snapcaster Mage is like a better control card. It's better when you want the game to do it later. Seagate Stormcaller is a worse top deck later because you need to have the spell to cast after you cast the Stormcaller. So it's actually just a much more proactive card. And I think it goes quite... And what's been pointed out to me a few times is you don't have to pay additional costs for the instant or sorcery. So you could do something like cast it and then cast Neoform, sacrificing it and getting 2/3 drops or something. Or you can cast Crop Rotation or Cathartic Reunion and stuff.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
You're laughing at the Neoform thing.
Yeah.
Go and get Spike Feeder and Heliod. Or like, you can combo off it.
I bet.
Yeah, so I think that the way to look at this is actually not like Snapcaster Mage, like I first said, and how I first thought of it. It's a proactive card, and you should be playing it in a deck with like discard spells. It's pretty cool with the new 1 mana sacrifice creature, draw 2 cards. I've forgotten the name.
Oh, Village Rites.
Village Rites, it's pretty cool with that. So you could even sacrifice it and then just draw 4 cards for 3 mana. Yeah, I think it can see play, but...
You know what I think this card is going to be most of the time? It's going to be a 3 mana Ponder that gives you a Goblin Piker.
Yeah.
Like a 2/1 vanilla.
So it does save your mana, which is pretty relevant. So when you cast this and then a Ponder, that's 3 mana and you get 2 Ponders. Versus Snapcaster Mage, you spend a mana for a Ponder, then 2 for the Snapcaster, then a 4th for the Ponder. So it is less mana. I'm just struggling to see where it slots in to anything that exists currently.
And if you look at Legacy right now, like Snapcaster Mage even struggles to find spots in the format.
Snapcaster Mage is just not played in anything really right now. It's a 2 in some of the like Miracle Slanted Snow decks, but that's it. So, yeah. I don't have too much other than say that I think the card is strong. I think it could see play, but I don't know where yet.
So for my next card, it's called Wayward Guide Beast. It's 1 red. It's a 2/2 trample haste. It has awesome artwork, by the way. Mm-hmm. And when Wayward Guide Beasts deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. I gotta say, I was more excited for this card in the beginning, but then I thought about it a couple more times. And I think that as a card, it's really good. Because so the way it will usually play out is you play it on the first turn, you attack, which like you get a 2/2 haste on the first turn without a downside like, I don't know, Goblin Guide, which can potentially give your opponent a big advantage. But then the second turn, you attack again. Like you don't make your first land drop again on your second turn, so you can basically negate the disadvantage on it on the second turn. You attack again, you dealt 4 damage by now, then you play your land. And now here's the thing where it gets really weird for me. You can't play the game in a way where on the second turn you bolt their blocker. You can't play your Goblin Guide or your Swift Spear on your second turn, otherwise you're going to lose your land drop again. And that stuff will add up if you add your... Like if you start your third turn with no lands in play, that's really not where you want to be. And also, these kind of burn decks, they don't really suffer from not having enough 1-drops, I feel like. They have 4 Swift Spears, they have 4 Goblin Guides, and then you can find other stuff if you want to have more, like worst case scenario, I guess Grim Lavamancer, even though that's not seeing play anymore. That's... So yeah, that maybe I get deceived by the awesome artwork. I don't know. It's
I think I agree. The drawback is too bad. I guess you're obviously playing Eidolon in this deck as well. If you open a hand with like 2 mountains, Guide Beast, and Eidolon,
true.
Do you attack with it on the first turn?
This is so bad. Okay, I'm deleting it. You pick the next one. You have a big selection of other good stuff. Cool. Actually, we don't.
I'm going to go to Bloodchief's Thirst. So this is a black removal spell. It's 1 black mana, destroy target creature or planeswalker with a converted mana cost 2 or less. So, and then you can kick it for 2 and a black extra, so 4 mana total. If the spell's kicked, instead destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's it. So I think this is pretty good actually. It kills Delver or Dreadful Arcanist for 1 black mana. Being a sorcery does hurt it. Like it's probably not as good as Fatal Push, but the fact that for 4 mana you can then go up to kill an Oko, Teferi, Jace, whatever. I kind of like it.
What is this Chase that you talk about?
Oh yeah, have you heard of that card? It's a new one.
I've seen it in like some weird rogue deck.
He's still around, but I think this is the kind of card that could be a one-of in the Snow decks or like in Stryfo's kind of decks. Maybe he just plays Assassin's Trophies already. It probably won't be played, but I think it's a good one to keep on your radar if you think that you can negate the downsides of sorceries if your deck plays in that style already. And you just want another 1 mana removal spell for Delver or Arcanist, but then can kill the Oko coming later as well. It's nice and flexible. I quite like it.
I think what it competes with is this new thing that we saw. What's it called? Eliminate, like 1 colorless in the black. Yeah. That actually straight up kills Oko because it kills like converted mana costs 3 or less.
I think for removal, the difference between 1 and 2 mana is so huge That's in the true. Format that this is why I like the card, because it's 1 mana.
But I think the other one is actually instant, though, which also is a big deal. It is.
So, yeah, I think this is close to Eliminate, honestly. Eliminate's probably slightly ahead, but I would prefer to have this against Delver.
I actually didn't have this one on the list in the first place, but then you added it back again, so that tells you a lot of how I think about the card.
Okay, fine. Cool. Well, let's let time be our witness.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Confounding Conundrum. Whatever. This is like the Benedict Cumberbatch version of a Magic card. It's an enchantment, 1 colorless and a blue. When this enters the battlefield, draw a card, so it replaces itself. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So, it's annoying when you have fetch lands, because then your fetch lands actually like negate your land drop for a turn. I guess an upside is that you can use it with Mystic Sanctuary, or rather your opponent can use it with
That's
Mystic
a downside,
Sanctuary.
Sir.
Well, it depends on... I mean, you can't use it yourself, right? So I guess for your opponent, it's an upside. Yeah. I kind of want this card to be good, but it's not really gonna be good unless you go like all in. You start adding stuff like Root Maze and, I don't know, everything that makes having fetch lands annoying. But I don't think that's a good deck. Like, the best thing about the card is that it replaces itself. If it was 1 mana,
that is a pretty big deal.
Super interesting.
Yeah. I think you could play like a blue-green, like you said, root maze kind of stuff. You could play Sphere of Resistance as well. There's some other weird like enchantments in blue for like 2 and a blue that make people bounce lands and stuff. This is another. I think the card could be okay. It's a really weird effect, and I'm struggling to like see how it'll play out. Honestly, I could see it just being sometimes annoying, but the fact that it replaces itself is a huge deal. And 2 mana is not a lot of mana for an effect that could have an everlasting effect on the game. Like, it kind of negates some of the Uro upsides as well.
That's true. Yeah.
But
the thing is opportunity cost, right? You could be playing something else in that slot. And
yeah, true. It's a really cool build around. Like, I want to make a root maze deck now. So,
dude, I've been wanting to make a root maze deck for so long because I think that would be so annoying to so much. For those who don't know, root maze is an enchantment from, I think, Tempest, or was it Stronghold?
I think it's Tempest.
And yeah, it's 1 green, and non-basic lands come into play tapped. So if you want to go fetch land for Tundra, that's gonna be 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns until your Tundra is online. That's like super annoying.
Yeah, but you know your opponent's going to go Snow-Covered Forest,
Astrolabe. Hey, they were so smart.
Turn 2, Island, Abrupt Decay, your root maze.
Nothing matters. Okay. I'm going to delete this card.
Cool. I think it's cool. Let's see a bit. All right. Let's go on to Cleansing Wildfire. So this is 1 and a red sorcery. Destroy target land. 2 mana, destroy target land. Got everyone's attention. The downside is its controller may search the library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield taps, then shuffle their library. And it draws a card. So this is a cool one. It's doing a lot of things we've not seen before and some things we have. So destroying a land and searching for a basic is like Ghost Quarter. We've had that effect already on a land. 2 mana for mana destruction. Land destruction is kind of under the rate / over the rate for what you want to be playing in Legacy, but under rate for what's normal, like in Stone Rain. Drawing a card is a really big deal. I think the card is just so bad against like Daze. It'll just never be played. I was quite high on the card at the beginning, and I told people, wow, this is really good. You just can't main deck this card because it's so bad against Daze. They can Daze and return their land, and it fizzles it, so you don't even get the draw off it. It's slow, it's matchup dependent, and then if you want the kind of effect in your sideboard, you should play harder hitting cards like Back to Basics, Blood Moon, From the Ashes. So,
like, it's super upside. It can be an Assassin's Trophy at sorcery speed that draws you a card, I guess, if it's gonna hit a land.
There are situations where it's good, but it's not going to be enough for this. I mean,
by good we mean breaking even, or I guess you could actually be upper card if you take out something that against the deck like Rock Diver, right, where they don't have basic lands. But that's already a lot of things that need to go right, and if things go wrong, then your best case scenario is 2 mana, draw a card.
Yeah, it's not very good, I think.
Yeah,
it might see play in Modern to help against Tron and stuff, but for Legacy, I don't see it.
So I'm going to pick Feed the Swarm, which is a sorcery, 1 colorless and a black. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, so you don't accidentally destroy your own stuff. Very good. Try Protection Wizards.
Nice.
That's how you do it. You lose life equal to the permanent's converted mana cost. So this is significant because it's a major breach of the color pie, right? Black and red, or I guess especially black, was not supposed to have removal for enchantments. And Maro already teased that on his, I think, Tumblr blog, where he said that black is going to get enchantment removal, and this is straight up enchantment removal. So how do you think this is actually going to fit into Legacy? I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the only really mono black deck we have, which is Pox, but does Pox really struggle with enchantments?
Well, I think Reanimator could play it for Leyline.
Oh, Leyline!
Yeah.
Dude, you're so smart. I'm never going to say anything against you ever. 500 IQ.
I thought you were joking.
No, this is so smart. I didn't even have this in the list. You added it back in again.
Yeah. So
it even takes out Ooze and everything. Oh my god, this card is... I'm so high on this card.
Yeah, it kills Containment Priest, Leyline, Ooze, whatever. I think...
Oh god. This is bullshit, this card. Come on, dude.
I was surprised you didn't have on the list originally. I was like, what? This is a cool card. I'm actually still not sure that they'll play it. I think Reanimator, the splashes are fairly free. And I think what green gives you in Reverent Silence and Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy is probably still better. Losing life is really bad for your Grezbrand activations. So I actually think this card isn't as good for Reanimator as we kind of like joked about just a second ago. But it's a cool option to have.
Might go into Ice Station Zebra or like Mono Black Tinfins or something.
Yeah. There are mono black like decks that don't want to play against Leyline and stuff and hate bears. So yeah, it's a cool option to have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your next pick?
My next pick
After you just explained my card.
Cool. Let's go with Yasharn Implacable Earth. So this is an elemental boar, which I already love the card because it's cool creature types. So it's 4 mana, 2 in a green and a white. So it's a Selesnya card. 4/4. When Yasharn enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic forest card and a basic plains card. So both. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. So it's cool that it searches for some basics when it comes to play. I think that would happen when you cast it. You'll play it in decks with basics. This is a very Nick Fit card already. Players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or abilities. Paying life is very relevant in Legacy because that shuts off Force of Will, that shuts off fetch lands, and non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. That counts for Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, things like that. So it does actually shut off quite a lot. So I don't know, what do you think? I think it's going to be a Nick Fit card and nothing more, but it's pretty cool.
It's awkward with regards to that Nick Fit can't flashback the Cable Therapy, but overall it's basically that kind of theme, right? It's where we go into the not super expensive cards in Legacy, but reasonably expensive, and it's going to give you otherwise more like a vanilla body with like... the thing is, like you mentioned, I think turning off Force of Will is actually the biggest deal, especially in a deck like Nick Fit, which is looking to hit land some heavy hitters.
Yep.
So... Matt, if you're listening, this card might be for you. It also has like really awesome artwork. I can't believe that this is just a 4/4. If you look at the artwork, this is like easily an 8/8. It could also be the tiniest cliff in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of Princess Mononoke. It looks like something from that, which is really cool.
It reminds me of Crows and Tusker, which is a card.
Oh yeah, it does.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Nick Fitz got some more toys.
So I'm going to pick the enchantment, which I was trying to avoid because the text is so small, but you can actually make it bigger here. So here's an enchantment, Hogaak Exploration. 2 colorless and a red. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card. Okay, this is quite complicated. Let's break this down slowly. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library. You may play the card for as long as it remains exiled. So it's actually kind of crazy, first of all, in the sense that you're getting insane card advantage out of this.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Hogaak Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard. So you can only really use the card advantage on the turn you get this down. And then Hogaak Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent. So this is interesting in the sense that if you end up casting the cards, then you don't deal the damage. But if you don't cast the cards, say you had a couple of fetch lands, then end of turn at least you're going to deal like, I don't know, 2, 3, 1 points of damage to your opponent. I'm actually struggling to figure out whether I want to put this in a burn deck as a like slow way to kill them, at which point it's competing with Sulfuric Vortex, or I want to put it into a control deck as a source of card advantage, because I think one thing in Legacy is if you can turn your excess lands that you will eventually draw into something useful, that's a big deal.
What if I told you that there's a deck in Legacy that plays red cards already, that puts lots of lands into play on the same turn, and wants these cards in the graveyard? It might even have the name lands in the landfall mechanic.
We are so creative in Legacy, aren't we? What is this deck? It has lands. We call it lands. This is we call it Delver.
Sorry. Eternal Garden. Is that better?
Okay, that's Eternal Garden is one of the most beautiful. Eternal Garden is somewhat different from Archie Lands. Like that's actually a much more sophisticated
It's
deck.
true.
But
okay.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think this card could be like a good sideboard card for lands. It's pretty strong. Like what's important is it says you can play that card for as long as it remains exiled, so you can play lands.
Cast, yeah.
Like if you hit the lands that you want to have into play, you play them. Otherwise, you're starting to dome the opponent. It's a thing that you can play early. You accrue lots of value off. It's very good with exploration, but then it will finish your opponent off as well, and it'll pull you ahead. You could exile the explorations and cast them as well. So I could see this as like a good anti-control card.
Oh god! And then if you have like, so it's basically the Sylvan Library slot in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, imagine you. Actually, no, it doesn't work with Mana Bond, does it? Never mind. But it will get a lot of value. It'll draw you a lot of cards, and it'll finish your opponent off. So I think it's pretty cool.
It's actually going to be insane if you have 2 of those in play. Then your fetch land is going to exile 4 of those cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the damage
like
really
it.
adds up fast.
Okay, I can see it as a sideboard card. We've seen something like, we talked about it in the last cast, the thing in Standard for 4 mana, the Enchantment Frenzy, something.
Experimental Frenzy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is like 1 mana cheaper.
I think this is like a worse card than that in non-lands based decks, but I think anything that is playing Exploration or Dryad of the Elysian Grove, those kind of things, is strong. And the fact that it puts the cards in the graveyard is really nice because you can do stuff with Loam as well and things.
Usually that kind of stuff with that exile stuff, but it's already pulling everything from exile. Maybe this is the point where Wizards of the Coast will eventually create exile too. I don't know how that would work.
They have done that already, actually.
Oh, absolutely removed from the game zone, right?
Yeah, exactly. AWOL.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Cool.
So, what other cards do you see?
We have 2 cards left, and one of them is Jace, and one of them is not Jace. So I'm going to let you talk about Jace, you lucky thing. So, I'm going to talk about Thieving Skydiver. So this is 1 and a blue for 2/1 flying. It has kicker X, and X can't be 0. That's quite an important thing. When Thieving Skydiver enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, gain control of target astrolabe with a converted mana cost X or less. Sorry, it's artifact really. If the artifact is an equipment, attach it to Thieving Skydiver. So X can't be 0, so that you can't like steal just 0 mana artifacts, I guess, without paying mana. So you want to it makes you always like pay 3 mana or more when you're stealing something. 2/1 flying body is kind of relevant. I don't know if it's like stealing an astrolabe is nice. I don't see what else this is doing. For 3 mana, you could play a Dak Faden and steal anything and have a better card. I think it's a cool card, and it won't see any play. There we go.
Why is it actually in our playable cards list?
Hey, you put it here. Don't look at me.
No. We put it here upon request from Tom, but because we thought on Tom's episode we were going to go over this, but then we didn't have time.
You can't blame past guests.
No, I'm definitely not blaming him.
No.
We ended up making the call to include it.
It's true. Yeah, it did get a little bit of attention because it's kind of almost the legacy playable rates. 2/1 flying is fine, and like stealing a Nathaval is a pretty big game for 3 mana and stuff. And stealing an astrolabe is fine. Sometimes you see equipment and attach it.
Oh, good point about the other while. I don't know if you remember this from our discussion in our Esper chat. I think at one point I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I would love to be able to steal my opponent's other wilds on a card that's actually reasonable.
Yeah,
and
so
I think nobody had any kind of idea how we could do that because that would be such a big deal in the mirror.
So maybe you could have like one of these sideboard in vial for the mirror
recruiter thing.
Yeah, you do have to cast it, so you can't vial it in and then pay 1.
Yeah, I can pay 3 mana to steal my opponent's other wild. I mean, it's gonna be immediately tapped, right? But still, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, I can see it potentially.
Awesome. So the last card in our more or less playable list, we got Chase Mirror Mage. It's surprise, Planeswalker. Have they actually ever printed Chase as a creature? Oh, they did, right? Baby Chase, which flips into a Planeswalker. Awesome. Yeah. So it's 1 colorless, 2 blue, 4 loyalty, +1 Scry 2. So not exactly amazing, but I guess 4 loyalty is already quite high. For 0. Draw a card and reveal it. Remove a number of loyalty counters equal to the card's converted mana cost from Chase Mirror Mage. So it's kind of like your own personal holding mine until it dies, which on average in Legacy would probably happen like after 2 turns or something. 2 or 3 turns actually. It depends on how well you can control your top deck with Ponders and Brainstorms. And then on top of that, it also has Kicker. I guess it's one of the first Planeswalkers with Kicker. Kicker 2 colorless. When Chase Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Chase was kicked, create a token that's a copy of Chase Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary, otherwise they would die, or one of them would die. And the starting loyalty is also 1. I think if the starting loyalty was 4, that would be too good. Even though like 5 mana, actually.
It would be pretty good.
Yeah, but 5 mana is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have like 8 loyalty out of nowhere. Actually, they would tick up, so you have 10 loyalty out of nowhere. Nobody's gonna remove that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, but it's not. It's 1 loyalty. So you have something like 6 loyalty out of nowhere, but then you don't have an advantage yet, right? Then you scryed 4, and if your first scry was good, then the second scry doesn't even do anything. There was a world in Legacy where this would have been like a really cool, good card. I'm not sure where it is right now.
6 or 7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. It's kind of competing with Teferi in my book.
Yeah. I think it's going to draw 1 or 2 cards most of the time. It's really weak to just being attacked and then dying so easily. Which I know that can be for like some Planeswalkers, but it doesn't do anything to protect itself. Yeah, 3 mana. I don't see it at all, really.
Yeah. Okay, let's delete it.
Cool.
Okay, now we got, I think, a couple more cards which we'd be surprised if they actually did something in Legacy, but there's potential. So do we want to like quickly go over them?
Yeah, I have like one or two here worth mentioning. I'll quickly say there's one called Kazul's Fury, which is one of the it's a spell land card. So the backside is just comes to play Tap Mountain basically. The front side is a Fling for 3 mana. So Fling is as additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice creature. Kazul's Fury deals damage equal to the sacrifice creature's power to any target, and it costs 2 and a red. I said that I can see it in lands, but actually I think that was when I was thinking that you could like Life from the Loma or something. So it's kind of cool that you could play the land earlier and then like bounce the land back or something. You know what? It doesn't work. Ignore me. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm gonna delete it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Ruin Crab, which I'm reasonably excited for. It's basically another Hedron Crab, but you can't make yourself mill. So it's a 1 blue 0/3 landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. So that's really only a place for mill, which by the way I streamed. It's gonna be on my YouTube in a couple days. It's a super interesting deck. It actually was much better than I thought it would be, given that Mill has never really done anything in Legacy. We ended up beating Burn, which, like, how does Mill actually beat Burn? If you want to watch that, it was, like, kind of crazy. We got paired against Reanimator twice, and that didn't really work out too well for our Mill deck. But yeah, we worked quite a bit on the deck, and I can see a version that runs 8 crabs. Like, if you run out the first crab, and they don't have the bolt, and then you run out the second crab, and then you get a fetch land, you immediately mill them for fucking 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the next turn, you have a fetch land, you mill them for 12 again, and I mean, that's crazy.
I think this is a huge addition to Mill. I think it could make actually modern Mill quite good. And yeah, Legacy Mill is kind of on the fringe of being tier 2, maybe.
That's, yeah, like, let's call it one of the best tier 3 decks. Like, it's actually like, we played some insanely close games against Stelva. Cool.
So yeah, I think it'll play 4 of these for sure.
That's the card for me. Anything else that sticks out to you? I guess we have Vampire Nightgoyf, Nighthawk Scavenger.
Yeah, none of these cards stick out to me at all. But we can. It's a cool card. It is just completely Vampire Nighthawk, and Goyf had some fun after a party, and this is what came out. So it's 1 black, so 3 mana for a flying Death Touch lifelink. It's 1+ star 3. Why am I saying this? I should have given it to you. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1+ the number of card types among card types in your opponent's graveyards. So its power is like Goyf, but only affects from your opponent's graveyards. And has 3 toughness. So being a base 1/3 flying Death Touch lifelink is quite good, but like it just dies to bolt and it's 3 mana. Yeah, it's a shame that it only counts your opponent's graveyard. If it was yours, you could try and get it into like a 5/3 quite easily, but it's quite unreliable.
Yeah, it's the times in Legacy where you would cast 3, we would spend 3 mana on a random good stuff creature. That's not really what we're doing in this format anymore.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick something. I know I'm eventually gonna feel stupid for it, but somehow the card is not. Okay, I'm trying to navigate my way around saying the card is exciting to me, because it's actually not exciting to me, but I'm just gonna say it. Felidar Retreat. It's an enchantment, 3 colorless and a white, and it just has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can choose one of those 2. You can either make a 2/2 white Cat Beast creature token, or you can put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Call me crazy, but I feel like this is actually kind of cool in like a control shell, because it can't get pyroblasted, it can't get abrupt decayed, nothing can really happen to it, and you just run that out, and every couple of turns you make like every fetch land is 4 power. I don't know. Is that crazy in a control mirror? Like, people don't really play Entreat the Angels anymore, so you can actually grind them out.
Do you think it's better than Gideon?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I was wondering about other Planeswalkers. The other Planeswalkers, they can get attacked.
I think actually it probably could be better than Gideon.
I just like how it's almost untouchable in Legacy. Like Assassin's Trophy, I guess, but other than that,
I laughed at you before for putting this on there. I actually tried to delete it before.
That's not gonna happen.
No, I didn't get it, but now you say it, I see that. I think it could be kind of interesting in these like snow control mirrors. Yeah, you could be onto something there. That's pretty cool. No, all right. Yeah. I'm putting my hands up. I think I was wrong on this one. It has a little bit of a chance.
And the artwork is so weird.
It is very, very weird.
It has like a bunch of cats flying around on some rocks or something. I don't know.
It's got some like skulls and bones and very. I love the colors. Very red.
True.
Yeah.
True. Could actually be a red card. I know, but White likes that landfall stuff as well. Okay. Yeah. Cool. 4 more cards. I think there's nothing that's really exciting here. I guess a lot of people are actually excited for this Scourge of the Skyclaves.
Yeah. So this
is demon.
Yeah. So 1 and a black for a star. Scourge of the Skyclave's power and toughness equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. It has a kicker for 5 mana. If it was kicked, each player loses half their life rounded up. So this is another card that looks like it should have flying but doesn't. So watch out for it if you play against it. So it's like a Death Shadow but counts both players. I think it could be kind of cool in Modern, but in Legacy there's just like so much life gain. Like people are Uroing and Okoing and... I'm sorry to be a downer with these cards.
10 years ago that there's so much life gain in Legacy.
Oh yeah. I think the card is not that good anyway, but especially when like you can't cast until you get your opponent down from 22, 23, or actually even below 20 to begin with. Like you could be playing against like a Chalice deck and they don't open with Ancient Tomb and you just can't cast it for ages.
I think this is just straight up worse than Zombie Fish, Gomak Angler,
yeah.
Which you usually will get out on the 3rd turn and it's going to be a 5/5, which is like super solid.
Yeah.
But this one, it's going to be 1 more mana and it's about the same size and might even come down like a turn later or something. Yeah. So
if it was like
you're never going to pay the kicker in a Delver deck.
No, if it was like 20 minus the lowest life total among players, it'd be cool. But the fact that it counts your opponent's life total means you have to like put them under so much pressure. Like it's probably better in a burn shell actually.
But then you also need to lower your own life total.
Yeah, so you play like Blood Crypts and stuff and Street Raids
and Flame Rift and stuff.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Okay, already deleting this one. So 1 card I added here is Skyclave Shade. It's 1 colorless and a black for a 3/1. Skyclave Shade can't block. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if Skyclave Shade is in your graveyard and it's your turn, you may cast it from your graveyard this turn. It also has kicker for 3 more, so if you pay 5 total, then it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters. The kicker really isn't about, like, I don't care about the kicker. Mm-hmm. The thing, what I care about is that 3 as a power in Legacy is usually quite relevant. It's quite annoying. That's where it starts becoming a thing. And the fact that it keeps coming back, like Legacy, we have so many fetch lands, you can get it back so many times. I can see it in some kind of aggressive deck where it's super, super annoying. Maybe, okay, I'm not going to say Hogaak because Hogaak just like so much better stuff at 1 mana. But the fact that it keeps coming back, I can't stress how annoying that is as a 3/1.
I could see it doing some little things. Like, you'd probably always play Bloodghast over this, but then extra things. Like, casting it for 2 mana, though, is tough, especially when it can't block. Like, I think there's just better ways of getting more power into play, basically.
Yeah.
Because you can play Prized Amalgams as well. You can... there's like a new...
I already deleted it.
Oh, it's gone. I can't see it. All right, so last couple of things. There's one which is called Roiling Vortex, which is... It's kind of interesting, actually. It's like got Sulphurate Vortex-esque vibes. So it's an enchantment for 1 and a red. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, Rolling Vortex does 1 damage to them. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, Rolling Vortex does 5 damage to them. And you can pay a red, your opponents can't gain life this turn. So, yeah, it's like a cheaper Sulphurate Vortex, and it's kind of like a hate card against some of the Storm decks or anything relying on Lotus Petal, LED kind of things. Though I feel like those decks can kind of just not cast the LEDs or whatever until they bounce it. So I think it's going to fall on another card that looks like a hate card, but actually just can be ignored or doesn't do enough, and it just gets bounced or destroyed if it's relevant.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as a cheaper version of basically Sulphuric Vortex, so it's something you would have against like a controller's deck. And like especially in Legacy, right, the controller's decks have a lot of life gain right now, so this one also turns off the life gain, and it turns off their Force of Wills, which could, well, I was going to say it could be relevant against your Price of Progresses, but those don't really care that much anymore, so I guess you want to get several of those out, because then you gotta draw them in your red deck, so I guess you're not gonna find them.
It's not that far behind Vortex, but I think Vortex is quite a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. So last card we got is Lull Mage's Domination. Okay, this is interesting. It's a sorcery, 3 colorless and X. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. So if you spend 3 more than what the creature costs, you get to steal it. And here's the deal. This spell costs 3 generic mana less to cast if it targets a creature whose controller has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. So it's kind of like a reverse threshold. The exciting thing is stealing Uro for 4 mana. The unexciting thing is that they are probably not going to have 8 cards in their graveyard as you try to do that once Uro is in play.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a dot. That's not really going to do anything.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that's our review. I hope we didn't miss any really big ones that are going to turn Legacy upside down. Oko.
Did we cover Lurist of the Dream Den?
I bet we did. We did.
I'm joking. It wasn't. I checked actually because I was so nervous about us missing it. It wasn't spoiled by the time we did our review.
Oh, okay.
But
so
this set, I'm pretty happy by the look of it. Like, there's some kind of cool cards. There's some fringe stuff. It looks pretty underpowered compared to what we're used to, which is a really, really welcome direction, at least for me.
Yeah. I would even go as far as to say this set has the kind of power level that I think is right for Legacy. Kinda. Like, you could have some outliers at times, but not outliers in the sense that they are all-time greats, like Oko or something, but outliers in the sense that they create new decks because they are powerful enough to carry a deck on their own. But yeah, this is a kind of set I enjoy. I could even see, like, I don't know. Okay, I don't really have the time for playing standard and stuff, but that's the kind of power level I generally enjoy in Legacy, where there's like interaction. You can get either like tiny or bigger value out of your stuff depending on which place in the game you are right now. There's some tricky stuff. So yeah, looking forward to Zendikar. Is it Rising or Uprising? I guess Uprising will be the one afterwards.
Zendikar Rising, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have like Ravnica, Return to Ravnica, Legions, whatever.
Oh yeah. Ravnica Rising.
Must be one of their favorite planes.
Yeah.
We have a listener question from Scott, good friend Scott, who just opened his LGS in St. Louis. Good brother, his name is. Are there any stale or dead Legacy decks that may be rekindled after Zendikar's release? So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say Mill. Just because we got the crap, and I just streamed Mill with Kevin, and that was kind of cool. And like I said, I was surprised. I could see Mill, especially if we work it out, like we were gonna add Bayford Strixes into the deck so we can buy even more time, and yeah, that's something I could see coming back. I think, was there anything else as a deck that really heavily benefits from what we saw?
Yes, Oopsal spells and Belcher to an extent. I'm really excited to see what people do for Oopsal spells with Agadeem's Awakening, which is the black land. I think it's a huge deal for the deck. It's hard to say how good the deck will be, but I think that is actually the biggest winner that I can see in the whole set.
Okay, Callum, do you remember when we had that challenge where we had like 20 people play Belcher in the Legacy challenge?
Yes.
Maybe that's gonna come back.
Are we gonna do an Oops challenge?
Oops! I'm so sorry. There was one guy in that challenge. I tracked whom he played against. He literally played against Belcher 5 fucking times in the challenge.
And he was playing Burn. Yeah. Some poor bastard was playing Burn and playing against Belcher 5 times and lost every single time, I think.
And the last one, he actually didn't play. He went away. I think he timed out or something. So yeah. He had enough, or they had enough, I guess.
Oops challenge coming up.
Awesome. So yeah, I think with that we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna jump back into the shower. It's somehow still way too hot. It's usually when my birthday is coming up, it's getting colder, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hot here too.
Where can people find you if they want to hear more of your insights into cards that I deleted from the Google Doc that turned out to be playable?
There's going to be so more that we've missed, yeah. At WhiteFacesMTG on Twitter is the best place to find me.
If you want to find me, I'm at itsjulian23 on Twitter and twitch.tv/itsjulian. You can also find all of our stuff that we're doing on itsjulian.com. And if you want to follow the podcast, it's an ever-growing audience on Twitter, I would say. There we post all the pictures of stuff that we're drinking right before the podcast, and sometimes also some smart stuff. I want to guess we actually should post more to our Twitter. Like, the Discord is already running really well, but the Twitter is a bit.
It is.
It's full of alcohol and water.
Hey, I'm doing my part. You need to drink more wine.
Oh yeah, I actually wanted to drink wine the other day for the cast, but then I didn't have any at home. That amazing alcohol and water Twitter is at EternalMTG. You can find us there. If you want to support the running of the show, you can also support us on Patreon, on patreon.com/everydayeternal. You can join all of our supporters, just like this week, the Lord Francis. And yeah, that really makes a difference for us. It allows to buy equipment, just allows me to edit this kind of stuff, work on future projects. So be excited for that. There's more stuff to come. And I also want to give shout outs to our biggest and longest supporters on our Eternal Witness tier: Valerio, Tommy Hinks, and Trent Bowers. And on our top Grizzlebrand tier, Victor Bernatz, Barche Butt, Scott Monroe, Kurush Alistay, Jeremy Gates, Martin Nielsen, Eugene Freeman, and Henrik Kokuch. So thank you so much, and just have a great week. I actually don't know when this podcast is coming out. I'm going to edit it tomorrow, but yeah, we're going to have it out pretty soon, maybe in time for release of the next set.
Nice. Goodbye, everyone.
Let's try something like that. Goodbye. See you. GG.